As I walked into my kitchen this morning, I saw him, the man from my dream, sitting there, silent and still. But it wasn't him. Not really. It was just his shadow, cast eerily against the wall where no light could reach. I've always been a skeptic, you know? The kind of person who rolls their eyes at ghost stories and scoffs at the idea of anything supernatural. But last night, something happened that shook me to my core, and I don't know how to process it. It started with a dream. I was in my kitchen, the warm yellow light casting long shadows, the hum of the refrigerator the only sound in the quiet night. And there he was, a man I'd never seen before, sitting at my kitchen table, staring at me. His eyes were empty, void of any emotion, yet they seemed to pull me in, like staring into an abyss. I woke up in a cold sweat, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst out of my chest. I tried to shake it off, telling myself it was just a stupid dream. But as I made my way to the kitchen to grab a glass of water, I felt a chill run down my spine. There, in the corner, where the man had sat in my dream, was a shadow. Not just any shadow, but his shadow. The outline unmistakably human, yet twisted in a way that made my stomach turn. I froze, my breath catching in my throat. My mind raced, trying to rationalize what I was seeing. Maybe it's just a trick of the light, I thought. Maybe I'm still half asleep. But as I stepped closer, the shadow didn't waver or change. It just stayed. I reached out a trembling hand, half expecting it to pass through nothing but air. But as my fingers neared the shadow, a coldness emanated from it, so intense it felt like frostbite. I jerked my hand back, stumbling away from the shadow. My mind was screaming at me to run, to get out of there, but my legs felt like lead. I couldn't tear my eyes away from the shadow, and that's when I noticed something even more terrifying. It was moving. Not in any discernible direction, but it writhed and twisted as if it were alive. I don't know how long I stood there paralyzed by fear. It felt like hours, but it was probably only a few minutes. Eventually, I managed to tear myself away and fled back to my bedroom, slamming the door shut behind me. I spent the rest of the night huddled under my blankets, too afraid to sleep, too afraid to face whatever that thing was in my kitchen. Morning came, and with it, a sliver of rationality. I convinced myself that it was all in my head, that the stress of work and life had finally gotten to me. I took a deep breath and steeled myself to face the kitchen. But as I walked in, my heart dropped. The shadow was gone, but the chair where the man had sat in my dream was slightly out of place, as if someone had been sitting in it. I called my grandma, the only person I knew who might have some insight. She's always been superstitious, full of old wives' tales and folklore. When I told her what happened, she was silent for a long time. Then she said, "Some dreams are more than just dreams, sweetheart. Sometimes they're windows or doors, and sometimes things can come through." I wanted to laugh it off, to tell her she'd been watching too many horror movies, but the fear in her voice was palpable, and it only amplified my own terror. I asked her what I should do, how I could make it stop. She told me to sprinkle salt along the doorway of the kitchen and to say a prayer for protection. I did as she said, feeling silly the entire time. But as I sprinkled the salt, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching me, waiting just out of sight. That night, I slept with the lights on, a crucifix clutched tightly in my hand. Days have passed, and I haven't seen the shadow again, but every time I walk into my kitchen, I feel a chill, a sense of unease that I can't shake. And sometimes, just for a second, I think I see the chair move ever so slightly, as if someone had just gotten up from it. I started researching online, trying to find any explanation, any similar experiences. I came across stories of doppelgangers, shadow people, and entities that attach themselves to people through dreams. Some said these beings feed on fear. Others claimed they were lost souls seeking help. I didn't know what to believe, but I knew I needed to do something. I decided to set up a camera in the kitchen, hoping to capture any unusual activity. The first few nights were uneventful, but on the fourth night, I saw something. The footage showed the chair moving on its own, and for a brief moment, a dark figure appeared sitting in the chair before vanishing. My hands shook as I watched the footage, a mix of fear and validation coursing through me. I reached out to a local paranormal investigator, someone who had experience with cases like this. They came to my house, armed with EMF meters and voice recorders. As we sat in the kitchen, the temperature dropped suddenly, and the EMF meter spiked. The investigator's face went pale as they whispered, "There's something here with us." We conducted a seance, trying to communicate with whatever was in my home. The voice recorder picked up whispers, responses to our questions, but nothing coherent. The investigator suggested it might be a residual haunting, a moment in time replaying itself, or something more sentient, aware of its surroundings. They advised me to perform a cleansing ritual, to set boundaries and demand that the entity leave. I followed their instructions, lighting candles, burning sage, and speaking firmly to the empty room. The air felt heavy, charged with something indescribable. As I finished the ritual, a sense of calm washed over me, the oppressive atmosphere lifting slightly. Since then, the feeling of being watched has lessened, and the chair in the kitchen remains still, but I can't shake the memory of those empty eyes, the coldness of the shadow, and the fear that it might not be truly gone. I still sleep with the lights on, and I've placed protective symbols around my home, just in case. I don't know if I'll ever truly feel safe in my kitchen again, but I'm trying to move forward. I've started talking to a therapist, someone who can help me process the fear and anxiety this experience has caused. And I found solace in a community of people who have experienced similar things, sharing our stories and supporting each other. If you've ever experienced something like this, please know you're not alone. There are people who will believe you, who will support you. And if you haven't, I hope you never do. The unknown is a terrifying place, and once you've glimpsed into it, it's hard to look away. If it gave you chills, hit that like button, subscribe so you don't get lost between worlds, and write in the comments, are you sure you woke up in your own world? See you in the next story.